Hello beautiful people. In today's video we'll be making egusi soup with bitter leaf. Here I have the hand peel egusi. I always prefer this to the engine peel. And I have also here. Also helps the egusi to rise well and it gives it a nice taste also. Do you have any other uses for also? Please let me know in the comment section for egusi soup. And here I have the peppers. I have the yellow sand pepper. This is my go-to for any Nigerian soups. It gives it a good flavor and aroma. And I have the shombo as well. This will add colors. I have the bitter leaf itself. This is the short ones. When you go to the market, there are the long ones and the short ones. We'll be using the short ones. I've washed this. There is no bitter taste in it anymore, and there is no sand as well. And I have the stockfish. This stockfish, I've also washed it. I'm using the ear and the fillet. Here is the crayfish and the obei. You can use iru or dawa in case of obei. And I also have the dry fish, well smoked. Here comes the pomo, the cow skin. I've washed this pomo with hot water and salt and it's already pre-cooked, so there is no sand in it. Please ensure to wash yours so you wouldn't be eating it with sand. And here comes the palm oil. Please source for good palm oil so that you enjoy this egusi soup. I also have onions. Today's recipe will be using beef. First, let's season the beef. It's already washed. I'll add in onions, chopped onions. I'll add in salt. And I'll also break in 2 beef seasoning cubes. Breaking it will help it dissolve better. Now I'll bring in the stockfish and the pomo. We are adding all this together because they all have the same cooking time. And I'll mix all this in properly to combine with the seasoning and the salt and the onion. This is well mixed now. You can use any protein of your choice. We'll mix all this in. If you observe, I didn't add any water to this because this beef will generate its own juice. Mix it all in properly to combine with the seasoning and the salt. Now I'll cover this and allow this cook for 10 minutes. As we wait for the meat to cook, let's blend the egusi. My blender can blend this egusi well at home. If yours can't, please, you have to blend in the market where you bought the egusi from. I'll add in the osu as well. I'll be blending this in 2 batches because they can't fit into the blender at once. Now we'll blend this till it's very smooth. Here we are through blending the egusi and the osu, and this is what it looks like. So I'll set this aside and let's blend the peppers with the other ingredients. I'll be using the same blender as well because of course we are cooking the same soup. Here I have the peppers. Now add them into the blender. I have the crayfish and the obei. The crayfish is already washed so that there wouldn't be sand in it. Now I'll add in water and we'll blend this also till it's very smooth. We'll bring back our egusi and I'll pour in hot water into the egusi. This will help me to form a paste with the egusi. Now I'll stir this in to mix properly. Usually I'll add blended onions, but in today's recipe we are using another method, which is using hot water to stir the egusi together. And this is the consistency we are looking for. It's not watery at all. This is 10 minutes later. You can see all the juice the beef generated. I'll just give it another stir to mix in the seasoning and the salt properly, and I'll be adding additional water. I'll add the water to the level of the meat. This will help it cook till tender, and I'll be cooking this for 15 more minutes. Please check the protein you're using after 15 minutes to know if it's tender enough for you to set it aside. I'll cover and cook this for 15 minutes. This is 15 minutes later, and this is well cooked now. I'll just set it aside. In a dry pan on heat, I'll add in palm oil. Remember, I said you should source for good palm oil. And I'll add in chopped onions when the oil is a bit hot. I'll stir this in. I'll stir fry this for 3 minutes for the onions to release its flavors. And after 3 minutes, I'll come in with the blended peppers, obeyi, and crayfish. And I'll give this another stir. I'll be stirring this for 5 minutes. The longer you fry this, the more it releases its flavors. Now I'll come in with 2 seasoning cubes and I'll break it in. I wouldn't be adding salt at this point because I'll check for the salt later. I wouldn't want to overdo it. And this is the egusi that I've mixed earlier on with hot water. I'll start introducing it gently into the pot. Please note that I used a non-stick pan for this soup. I found out that using a non-stick pan or pot is best for this soup, so it wouldn't be burning easily, because this egusi frying method burns easily. I'm giving it a quick stir now. You can decide to break yours up if you don't want the lumps like I did. Now I'll be frying this for 10 minutes. With time, all this oil will be soaked up. You can always add oil to what you want, the quantity of oil you want. This is after 10 minutes. I'll bring in the meat and the stockfish with the momo we cooked earlier. It's already tender, so it doesn't require much cooking. That's why we are bringing it in at this point. I'll add in the stock from the meat. This is the best time to add in the dry fish. I've washed this with hot water and salt, so there's no sand in it. And I'll mix all this in together. At first, I struggled to stir this in because the osu was doing his work and the egusi kept rising. I added in additional water because this was too thick to even stir. I don't know if you guys can see this pot. This pot is actually very big. Then I'll cover this and I will cook this for 10 minutes. Within the 10 minutes, we have to be stirring this so that it doesn't burn. And 10 minutes later, I'll give it another stir. Now is the best time to check for your salt and seasoning to know if you need to adjust it. I needed to add more salt to mine, and after adding the salt, I could not still turn it well, so I had to add in additional water again. This kept rising and rising. Please don't overdo the water so that the egusi soup will not be watery at the end of the day. Now I'll stir it in, and I added the bitter leaf at this point. I said earlier on that this bitter leaf is already washed. If it's not well washed, the soup can turn black and it will be bitter. But this is washed. It will add that little bitter leaf taste to the soup, which is still fine. Now I'm bringing it together, and we eat lots of vegetables here, so the first one wasn't enough. I had to add in more vegetables, more bitter leaf, and I stirred it in. Bitter leaf is not a soft vegetable like ugu or water leaf and the others, so we'll be cooking this for 5 minutes. If it's another vegetable, we'll stir it in and put it off from the heat, but this one we'll cook it for additional 5 minutes. We'll cover and get back to it in 5 minutes. This is 5 minutes later and our soup is ready. Please subscribe to my channel if you've watched till this point. Please also like and share this video. Leave me a comment on what you think about this recipe. Cooking egusi soup with bitter leaf, it's so delicious. I'm sure you will like it if you will give it a try. Thank you for watching and see you in my next video.